What up? This is Tony, also knows Boxing. You're tuning into my channel. Subscribe to the channel, Tony, also knows Boxing. We have a lot of great news, a lot of great up and coming interviews that I have. I have an interview with Malik Quinones, who gave Juanita Lopez all he can handle in a very competitive fight, which a lot of people believe Malik Quinones won the fight. I'm going to interview him today at 4 p.m. I got permission from his manager. So I look forward to this interview. It's going to be today at 4 p.m. I'm going to share it with you. It's going to be live, but I'm going to share it with you later on. I'm going to do it live on my streaming system. So yeah, we have news. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff to talk about, but I'm going to talk about Keith One Time Thurman. He's one of my favorite fighters. He hasn't been active for like 2 years. He's going to fight October 25th. He's going to fight another fighter that I really enjoy watching, Sebastian Fundora. Sebastian Fundora. That's going to be intense. And I wouldn't count Keith Thurman out in any given sense of counting him out, because a lot of people always look at the inactivity and the fact that he's prone to getting injured. But I believe that Keith One Time Thurman, he's the truth. But I believe it's a hard task to actually fulfill. But I wouldn't count Keith One Time Thurman out, because he's fighting a really tall, rangy, 6'3" tall fighter in Sebastian Fundora. And I believe Sebastian Fundora has proved in back-to-back fights with Tim Tszyu that he is capable of doing the impossible. And he's a good inside fighter, but I believe that Keith One Time Thurman is more versatile than Tim Tszyu and has more to offer in a fight against Sebastian Fundora. And even though he's been out of the ring for a while, and I really don't think that he's gonna win the fight against Sebastian Fundora, but I wouldn't count him out. And I'm actually rooting for Keith One Time Thurman to actually pull it off. But I don't see it happening. But I would love to see Keith One Time Thurman prove the odds wrong and prove the majority of the people wrong, because I think most people are thinking that Sebastian Fundora is going to win, and it's logical to believe that. He's been more active, and I believe that the keys to victory for Keith One Time Thurman is to actually fight him on the inside, even though despite we know that Sebastian Fundora is a good inside fighter, but tall fighters usually struggle fighting on the inside as well as somebody that's not as tall. So I believe that Keith One Time Thurman has to do the in and out tactic, fight inside when he can, and fight outside, not too much outside because of Sebastian Fundora's reach. So he has to stay within range where his reach will not be effective. Sebastian Fundora's reach, that is. So I believe that that's going to be a really great fight, October 25th. And he said something interesting, Keith One Time Thurman. He basically likes to train and he rises up for great fights and great opportunities, but he doesn't like to waste his time in training and have a fight where he's not going to fight anybody that's credible, that's going to give him something that's going to be a run for his money and something for him to feel like he accomplished facing an elite fighter. But so Turki Alishik has offered him to fight Virgil Ortiz victim on an undercard not too long ago, and Keith One Time Thurman wasn't really happy with the offer that Turki Alishik gave him. He was, Turki Alishik was offering him a fighter that Virgil Ortiz already defeated, and he feels like Turki Alishik is a towering inferno, but that he's always been defied. That's what Keith One Time Thurman said. So he's basically saying he doesn't need to fight on the undercard just because Turki Alishik has offered him to fight one of Virgil Ortiz's victims, and it wasn't for a title or an interim title. So he refused to fight, and that's the reason why he didn't fight. He didn't come back as sooner than he could have. He fought what's that? Jarkis, some guy named Jarkis. He was undefeated, and he didn't want that, but that was the only fight to keep him active. And then he chose to fight eventually, Sebastian Fundora, which is the fight that's going to take place but he felt like it made sense to fight Sebastian Fundora because Sebastian Fundora, you know, got the opportunity because Keith one time Thurman got hurt, injured twice, and he took the Booker fight, and then he took the Tim Tszyu fight. You know, he was supposed to fight Keith one time Thurman, and he got injured, and then he fought Tim Tszyu again in the rematch, and then now it makes sense for him to fight Sebastian Fundora, Keith one time Thurman, but he feels that Turki Alishik was trying to lowball him and not offer him good money to fight on the undercard and face a former victim of Virgil Ortiz that wasn't for a title. It wasn't for any kind of title whatsoever. So he wasn't motivated by the offer that Turki Alishik offered to him. And he felt like, you know, Turki Alishik was lowballing him. So yeah, he's calling out Turki Alishik. Keep one time Thurman. Subscribe to the channel. Tony also knows boxing. You're tuning into my channel. Yes. What do you guys think about a possible fight between Brian Norman Jr. versus Jaron Boots Ennis? Jaron Boots Ennis is fighting tomorrow on Saturday. He's gonna fight Jaron Boots Ennis is gonna fight Usima Lima. And the guy has one loss from what I heard, and he has a decent record, and he looks like a formidable opponent. But that was the only opponent that he could face at the 154. And Jan Zayas is going to fight January 10th, 2026, against Abis Barot. And we don't know what's going to take place as far as like once Jaron Boots Ennis beats the interim WBC champion vacant to fight Lima. We don't know if he's going to fight the winner of Xander Zayas versus Abis Barao in January 10th of 2026 in Puerto Rico, where Xander Zayas makes his first title defense in Puerto Rico against Abis Barao. That is the most probable opponent. And we don't know if Brian Norman Jr. Is going to move up in weight to face Jaron Boots Ennis. It seems like that's something that's been talked about and for the past few months. And I feel that a lot of people are doing stuff like that for clout. Like, you know, Jaron Boots Ennis is basically calling out. He's calling out Brian Norman Jr. In some video, that went viral, and I'll share it with you in a few minutes. But he actually still has to take care of business with Devin Haney November 22nd. That is Brian Norman Jr. So I believe he's going to knock out Devin Haney. Devin Haney doesn't have a chin. It's going to be an interesting fight while it lasts because Devin Haney has skills, but he doesn't have this. If you don't have this, the skills sometimes don't even matter because I feel like he's not good enough to dodge every single shot that Brian Norman is going to come at him with. So I feel like there's a lot of business to be taken care of at 147. We got the paper champion, Rolly Romero, who only got the championship WBC because Jaron Boots Ennis moved up in weight. Actually, he got the WBA. Actually, I think it's the WBC. So he was moved up to full champion at no, WBC is Mario Barrios. I think he's the WBA, if I'm not mistaken. I think Rolly Romero is the WBA champion. He moved to full champion after Jaron Boots Ennis moved up in weight to fight Usima Lima for the interim WBA championship, and the full champion is Abis Barao. So when Abis Barao faces Xander Zayas, whoever wins that fight, he's going to fight the winner most likely of that fight, or he might fight Bakram Motazalev, which is the weakest link or the less known link. I don't want to say weakest link, but the less known link at the 154-pound division. But subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. You're tuning into my channel. What do you guys think about the possibility of Brian Norman Jr. moving up in weight to face Jaron Boots Ennis, who fights this tomorrow, Saturday, at the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia? What do you guys think? I believe that is an intriguing fight, and anybody can win that fight because they both have skills set. I think Jaron Boots Ennis has more skills than Brian Norman Jr., but Norman Jr. has skills, but he has power in one-punch KO power, which makes the fight really intriguing. Also in the news, I heard Teofimo Lopez has put out a tweet that, what do you guys think of me fighting Manny Pacquiao January 24th, 2026, if Shakur Stevenson's hands are not healed or up to par to fight me? What do you guys think about a fight with me, Teofimo Lopez versus Manny Pacquiao, January 24th, 2026? And Shakur Stevenson sent a text with bulging eyes, like he was surprised that Teofimo Lopez actually text that on his social media. But he didn't actually challenge Teofimo Lopez and said that my hands are not good and you're right, or he didn't come out and say, why are you talking about Teofimo Lopez when you have to fight? Why are you talking about Pacquiao when you have to fight me, Teofimo Lopez? He didn't text anything like that to counter what he put up on his social media, Teofimo Lopez. Shakur Stevenson didn't challenge him and say, oh, you're supposed to fight me. Why are you talking about Manny Pacquiao? So obviously it might be true that Shakur Stevenson's hands are not up to standard, not healed enough for him to be ready to fight Teofimo Lopez on January 31st, which was supposed to be the fight date. So now it seems like Teofimo Lopez is making a deal with Manny Pacquiao to fight on his comeback fight for next year after losing to Mario Barrios, which I think Manny Pacquiao won that fight. But he's trying to make another comeback next year, and it might be Teofimo Lopez versus Manny Pacquiao January 24th of 2026 instead of Shakur Stevenson, Teofimo Lopez January 31st. So, there's a lot of clout chasing and there's a lot of promotions that they do. They call people out just to, make themselves more relevant. It could be that Teofimo Lopez was calling out Shakur Stevenson to make himself more relevant, or it could be that Teofimo Lopez knows that Shakur Stevenson hurt his hands and his hands are not ready for a comeback fight in the new year of 2026, January 31st. So he's probably taking advantage of the momentum with Manny Pacquiao, because Manny Pacquiao is a legacy fight. And even though Manny Pacquiao is 46, 47 years old, he'll be 47 by the time he fights next year. It's still a fight that would draw a lot of visibility and is a big money fight. I believe he will make Teofimo Lopez will make more money fighting Manny Pacquiao instead of Shakur Stevenson. But I think the Shakur Stevenson fight versus Teofimo Lopez is a great fight, and I believe that fight should be made, because that's what he said initially, Teofimo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson. But it's most possibly the reason why he's actually calling out Manny Pacquiao for January 24th, 2026 is because it's possible that Shakur Stevenson hurt his hand and can't make the fight. Because Shakur Stevenson didn't say anything back to Teofimo Lopez to challenge his post of fighting Manny Pacquiao. He would have challenged him if it wasn't true what Teofimo Lopez was alluding to, as far as like Shakur Stevenson not being ready to fight him because he hurt his hands. But it is possible that Shakur Stevenson hurt his hands because he's always hurting his hands. And I think he should take advice from Felix Tito Trinidad's father, who wrapped his hands perfectly to protect Felix Tito Trinidad's hands. And unlike all the stuff that people would say that Tito Trinidad never used illegal hand wraps. He used tape. And it was only illegal in New York, because Madison Square Garden, New York, they're more strict, the rules with the commission. But everywhere else in the United States and outside of the United States, it was legal to wrap their hands the way Felix Tito Trinidad hands were wrapped by his father, Don Felix. So I think Shakur Stevenson, instead of taking advice from Mayweather, or he should take advice from Felix Tito Trinidad or his father, because they actually knew how to wrap Tito Trinidad's hand the right way to protect his hands from getting hurt, because Tito Trinidad was a power puncher. And it was very, very likely that he would hurt his hands because he hits too hard. So that's what I got for now. And I believe that that Teofimo Lopez is trying to use whatever status he can use, because he knows he no longer has the capabilities that he once had when he fought Lomachenko. He's never been the same after the Lomachenko fight. Once he fought Barroso. Cambosos is the one that beat Romero, but Rolly Romero controversially got the championship from him when the referee stopped the fight prematurely when he didn't even land anything on Barroso. Barroso was beating the crap out of Rolly Romero. Rolly Romero's overrated, man. He's overrated. And I feel that Kambosos beat Teofimo Lopez really, really bad from pillar to post. And I feel that if Teofimo Lopez is the best, like the way he tries to claim that he is, then he should have taken care of and avenged his loss with Kambosos, which he never did. And then after that, he didn't look good against Jermaine Ortiz. He didn't look good against Sandor Martin. I think he lost those fights. And the only fight that he really looked decent and a little bit of his former self before Kambosos, a little bit of his former self, is when he beat Arnold Barbosa. But Arnold Barbosa was very predictable and lethargic. Good fighter, but very slow and predictable and telegraphic with his combinations. So that's why Teofimo Lopez was able to look good against him, but he didn't look great. And I just feel that the Josh Taylor fight, that Teofimo Lopez, when he fought Josh Taylor, it wasn't the Josh Taylor that was active. He fought a Josh Taylor that was inactive for 18 months. So on paper, it looked good, Teofimo Lopez beating him, but it's very misleading and deceptive to people that don't really know boxing. But to people that really are hardcore boxing fans and knowledgeable boxing fans, they know that there was a lot of holes in that fight, and he wasn't fighting the best version of Josh Taylor. So that's what I got. But I feel like Teofimo Lopez is doing whatever he can to make himself relevant and fighting the biggest fights possible before he ends his career or before he loses to somebody that he's not supposed to lose to on paper, but because he's no longer the best version of himself. So yeah, so he even said it before. So subscribe to my channel. Tony also knows boxing. You're tuning into my channel. Subscribe to the channel. Don't be afraid of the truth. Don't be afraid to subscribe to the unadulterated integrity of Tony also, who shares the truth and shares great content, great interviews. I have Malik Quinones interview today at 4 p.m. Let me see what time it is. Okay, I got time. I already prepared my interview and I wrote all my notes, and I'm prepared to interview Malik Quinones, who gave Juanma Lopez's son, a run for his money. And I do believe that he won the fight. It was a very competitive fight. He even knocked down Juanma Lopez. So I think Malik Quinones is the truth. And I'm making history interviewing all these great Puerto Rican fighters that are going to be champions. He's at the 115-pound division. Check out Malik Quinones. He's in the 150-pound weight class, and he's going to fight November 15th. So stay tuned for that interview of Malik Quinones on my channel, and also check out the Abisael Cotto interview on my channel, and check out the Yanquiel Rivera interview on my channel, and also check out the Joey Borrero interview on my channel. It was my last interview that I did a week ago, and he is going to fight October 17th, Joey Borrero. So Joey Borrero is 10-1. No, he's 13-1 with 10 knockouts. And he's fighting in Colombia, October 17th. And I'm going to get him back on my show. He is Felix Tito Trinidad's cousin. And I'm making history. I'm going to interview Felix Tito Trinidad, God willing, as well. Right, really soon. I'm not going to tell you when, but real soon. So, and he is going to be fighting at the 147-pound division, Joey Borrero, 13-1 with 10 KOs, October 17th in Colombia. So stay tuned for that fight. I'm going to interview him as well after he wins this fight. And he, I was going to say something. I forgot. I lost my train of thought. Yeah, so I'm going to interview him. And I'm also going to interview, God willing, Abisael Cotto, because he's fighting November 22nd against Felix Caraballo. It's a really good test for Abisael Cotto. His last fight, September 22nd, he looks superb. I love his jab, his uppercut, his angles, his footwork, his power. He has the whole 9 yards. He has everything. Check out Abisael Cotto, his last fight on YouTube, Saldando Cuentas. That's where you can find it. And he looked impressive. He knocked out Jorge Villegas, the Mexican, in the second round. You got to see that fight and check out the interviews that I did as well. Joey Borrero, yes, I just remember what I have to say. Joey Borrero is going to make some noise at the 147-pound division. We got Brian Norman Jr. there. We have Rolly Romero there. And we have a lot of interesting fights that can happen. And I think that Joey Borrero fits perfect in the mix because he's a threat. He's a threat to anybody. He's a tall, rangy, powerful fighter. He fights inside, and he also knows how to fight outside. And he has a great jab, and he has great stature, 6'1". So I believe he's going to be a problem for anybody. I think that a Brian Norman Jr. fight versus Joey Borrero would be interesting, but I would rather see him fight Rolly Romero first, just to get his feet wet, and then eventually promote that fight later down the road. Because you know, Brian Norman Jr. has plans to move up in weight after he cleans out the 147-pound division. So I don't know if Joey Borrero is going to get the opportunity to face him, because he says that he plans to be a champion by the beginning of 2027 or the end of 2027. So I don't know. It all depends on what transpires in everybody's careers. But it seems like Brian Norman Jr. is going to move up in weight eventually after he beats Devin Haney. He might get a chance to fight Rolly Romero before Joey Borrero. I don't know. But I think that Rolly Romero is going to avoid that fight at all costs, because Rolly Romero is a coward. He's scared. He's going to fight the easiest possible fights ever. I don't say coward, but he's scared to lose. I don't think he's scared to face a fighter. He's scared to lose to a fighter. That's what I think. Because all fighters are brave in some way to get in the ring. So that's all I got for now. Subscribe to my channel. Tony Also Knows Boxing. You're tuning into my channel. Don't be afraid to click that like button and subscribe to my channel. I give you the great information. I don't do the clickbait. If I put something up, I'm going to talk about it. The last time I put something up, I wasn't able to finish my point about Xander Zayas signing with co-owned Rima's promotional company by Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny's co-owner of that promotion, and that's going to help Xander Zayas have more visibility beyond boxing, and it's going to make him a global icon, I guess. It's going to give him more reach. So I don't know what plans Top Rank has with Xander Zayas as far as like what platform that Top Rank is going to put his fights on, because right now the ESPN is no longer going to work with Bob Arum's Top Rank. So maybe they might do a collaboration with Rima Sports, co-owned by Bad Bunny. Maybe Top Rank will do that. I don't know. I'm just speculating, but that is a possibility. Subscribe to my channel. Tony Also Knows Boxing. You're tuning into my channel. Don't be afraid to click that like button and subscribe to my channel. Only brave warriors and intelligent warriors that do their research subscribe to my channel. So if you don't subscribe to my channel, it's because you're afraid. You ain't built for this. And you rather be more comfortable with the fake content creators. Subscribe to that channel. Tony Also Knows Boxing.